Welcome to Handcrafted Woodworking, where skill and passion combine to create beautiful, timeless pieces. Join us as we dive into the world of wood, tools, and techniques. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned pro, let's make something amazing together. Hey everyone, welcome back to Handcrafted Woodworking. I'm so glad to have you here. Before we jump into today's project, I'd love to know, what's the latest project you're working on? Whether it's a table, bookshelf, or even something smaller, drop a comment and let's talk wood. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming projects and tips. There's always something new to learn in woodworking, and I'm excited to share it with you. Now let's get into today's project. Let's dive into a critical aspect of woodworking, drilling holes for screws, especially when you need to prevent wood from cracking or splitting. This technique is essential not only for ensuring strong joints, but also for extending the lifespan of your projects. Whether you're creating furniture, cabinets, or other woodworking pieces, properly drilled holes are key to keeping the wood intact and maintaining its durability. When working with wood, especially hardwoods like oak or walnut, you might notice that drilling a screw directly into the wood can cause the material to crack or split. This is due to the pressure applied during driving the screw. To prevent this, it's important to drill pilot holes before inserting screws. Pilot holes allow the screw to enter the wood without putting unnecessary pressure on the surrounding material, which helps prevent cracking. The first step in drilling is selecting the right drill bit. For most woodworking projects, you'll want to use a twist drill bit or a brad point bit. Twist bits are ideal for general use, while brad point bits provide more control and accuracy, making them perfect for woodworking projects that require precision. When choosing the size of the drill bit, it's important to match it to the size of the screw you plan to use. The diameter of the pilot hole should be slightly smaller than the screw's core diameter. If you're unsure, a general rule is to choose a drill bit that matches the inner diameter of the screw, excluding the threads. Once you've chosen the right bit, it's time to drill the pilot hole. Start by marking the spot where you want the screw to go. If you're working with thicker wood, use a center punch to create a small indentation where you'll start drilling. This will help guide the drill bit and prevent it from wandering as you start the hole. Now, position the drill bit at the marked spot and begin drilling slowly. Always drill straight to ensure that the hole is perpendicular to the surface of the wood. Applying too much pressure can cause the drill bit to bind or overheat, so let the drill do the work. Keep the speed of the drill steady and control the depth by monitoring your drilling progress. For deeper holes, it's helpful to periodically pull the bit out to clear away wood chips. When drilling into wood, especially when you are drilling all the way through or near the edge, wood can easily split or splinter. To prevent this, drill from the front side of the wood, ensuring that the drill bit doesn't exit the wood too aggressively. For deeper or larger holes, use a backing board, a scrap piece of wood placed underneath your workpiece, to prevent the drill bit from causing damage as it exits the wood. Additionally, when drilling near the edges or ends of wood, always take extra precautions. The wood fibers can be more fragile, and drilling too close to the edge can cause it to crack. For these areas, use a smaller drill bit first to create a guide hole, then move up to the full-size drill bit. This reduces the pressure and prevents the wood from splitting. After drilling the pilot hole, the next step is countersinking the hole if you plan to have the screw sit flush with the wood surface. A countersink bit is used for this. It drills a conical hole that allows the screw head to sit just below the surface of the wood. This is important for creating a clean, professional-looking finish and ensuring that the screw doesn't stick out. To countersink properly, attach the countersink bit to your drill and adjust the depth so that the screw head will sit flush with or slightly below the wood surface. Drill slowly and steadily to ensure you don't drill too deep. You want just enough of a recess for the screw to sit neatly in place. Once your pilot holes and countersinks are drilled, it's time to select the appropriate screws. For most woodworking projects, you'll use wood screws, which are designed specifically to go into wood without damaging the material. The length and thickness of the screw should match the thickness of your wood and the strength of the joint you're making. For hardwoods, you may need to use screws with a more aggressive thread design, which provides better grip. For softer woods, screws with finer threads may be sufficient. Always make sure to drive the screw into the pilot hole without forcing it. A screwdriver with a clutch setting is ideal because it prevents over-tightening, which can lead to wood splitting. When driving screws into your wood, apply consistent pressure while keeping the screwdriver or drill in alignment with the pilot hole. If you're using a power drill, set it to a low torque to avoid overdriving the screw. For a more controlled experience, use a hand screwdriver. This lets you feel the resistance and ensures you don't over-tighten, which can cause the wood to crack. When you're driving screws into dense material or particularly thick wood, pre-drill a pilot hole that matches the diameter of the screw shank, leaving enough space for the threads to bite into the wood. If you're working with a dense material or thick wood, you may need to use a screw lubricant to reduce friction and prevent damage. To ensure your joints hold up over time, check that the screws are driven in fully, without any gaps around the screw head. If you're using a finish on your wood, apply it after driving the screws to protect the wood from moisture and wear. This also helps the screws blend seamlessly with the surface. In conclusion, drilling pilot holes for screws is a fundamental skill in woodworking that ensures your projects are strong, durable, and free from damage. Whether you're reinforcing joints, attaching hardware, or assembling furniture, knowing how to drill properly and use screws to their full potential will make a huge difference in the quality and longevity of your work. Now, let's talk about some essential maintenance and safety tips for the steel chainsaw to ensure it lasts and performs at its best. First, always check the oil and fuel levels before starting. Proper lubrication is crucial for the chain's longevity and smooth operation. Make sure the chain is properly tensioned. It should be tight enough to stay on the bar, but loose enough to move freely. A loose chain can derail, while a tight one puts unnecessary strain on the saw. When using the chainsaw, always maintain a firm grip with both hands and stand in a stable position. Be mindful of kickback, which can occur when the chainsaw's nose makes contact with the wood. Always use the chainsaw's safety features, like the chain brake, and never operate the saw without protective gear like gloves, goggles, and a helmet. Today, we'll walk through the process of repairing and enhancing a wooden slab using a simple but effective method, combining AB glue with wood shavings to fill in large holes. This technique is not only an excellent way to restore damaged wood, but it also adds a unique aesthetic finish to your project. Whether you're working on a table, a shelf, or any wooden item, this method is both cost-effective and easy to execute. First, let's prepare the wooden slab. Take a close look at the surface and identify the large holes or cracks that need filling. It's essential to clean the surface thoroughly, as dust or debris can interfere with the adhesive. Use a brush or cloth to wipe off any dirt or loose particles from the holes and surrounding areas. If your slab has deep cracks or gouges, you may want to use a utility knife or chisel to remove any jagged edges around the hole. This will help create a clean surface for the glue to bond more effectively. Now, let's move on to mixing the AB glue. AB glue is a two-component adhesive, meaning it comes with both resin and hardener that need to be mixed in specific proportions. Check the instructions on the packaging for the correct ratio, but generally, it's a 1-to-1 ratio of resin to hardener. Take a small mixing container and carefully measure out equal parts of the two components. Stir the mixture thoroughly with a stir stick or a small tool until you get a smooth, consistent texture. You'll notice that AB glue is quite thick, which is perfect for filling in gaps and cracks without running or dripping. Next, we'll prepare the wood shavings. You can use any wood that matches the color and type of the slab you're working on. If you have leftover scrap wood from previous projects, this is a great way to repurpose it. Use a planer, sander, or chisel to create fine wood shavings. The finer the shavings, the better the mixture will blend into the wood surface, creating a smooth and uniform look. You can also experiment with different wood types to achieve a unique finish if you want to add some contrast in texture or color. Once you've mixed the AB glue and prepared the wood shavings, it's time to combine them. Start by slowly adding the wood shavings into the AB glue mixture. Stir the mixture gently until it reaches a thick paste-like consistency. You want it thick enough to stay in place when applied to the holes without dripping off. Be sure to add enough shavings to the glue so that the paste has a solid, dense texture. The goal is to create a mixture that can be pressed into the holes without running or sagging. Now, carefully apply the mixture to the holes in your wooden slab. You can use a putty knife, spatula, or your fingers, or gloves if necessary, to press the paste into the gaps. Make sure you fill the holes completely and pack the mixture tightly to avoid air pockets. For larger holes, you may want to apply the paste in layers, allowing each layer to set before adding the next. This will ensure that the hole is filled thoroughly and the surface remains smooth and level. After filling the holes, it's time to smooth out the surface. Use a putty knife or a scraper to level the filled areas with the surrounding wood. You want the filler to blend seamlessly with the surface of the wood. At this point, you can also shape the filler to match the grain of the wood, especially if you're working with a surface that has intricate patterns. You can press the filler gently with a tool that mimics the grain of the wood to ensure it matches the natural texture. Once you've filled the holes and smoothed the surface, allow the AB glue to cure. The curing time will vary depending on the product you're using, but generally, AB glue takes 4 to 6 hours to fully cure. For best results, leave it overnight and avoid touching or sanding it until it's completely hardened. Once the glue has dried, it's time to sand the surface. Start with a medium grit sandpaper, around 100 to 150 grit, to smooth out the filled areas and level the surface. Work in the direction of the wood grain to avoid scratching the surrounding area. As the surface becomes smoother, switch to a finer grit sandpaper, 220 grit or higher, to finish the job. This will ensure that the entire surface, including the filled areas, is smooth and even. Once the surface is smooth and even, it's time to finish the wood. You can apply a wood stain, varnish, or lacquer to the entire slab to enhance the grain and color. If you prefer a natural look, a clear finish will preserve the beauty of the wood while protecting it from moisture and wear. Apply the finish with a clean brush or cloth, following the grain of the wood. Allow the finish to dry completely between coats, and apply as many layers as necessary to achieve the desired sheen and protection. Once the finish has dried, take a step back and admire your work. The filled holes should now blend seamlessly with the rest of the wood, and the slab should look smooth and refreshed. If you want to add some extra shine, you can lightly buff the surface with a soft cloth or polishing tool. And that's it. You've now successfully repaired and beautified your wooden slab using AB glue and wood shavings. This method is not only effective for filling large holes, but also creates a unique texture that adds character to your piece. Thanks for following along. Now you have a beautifully restored wooden slab that's ready for use or display.